So, who the fuck is Alec Baldwin?
That's a really good question. I really haven't seen him in much of anything recently. Um, Alex Ray Baldwin III is apparently an American actor, writer, comedian, film producer, and political
Apparently,
activist.
I love how you say apparently, like you've never heard his name before in your life.
I mean, it's been a while, is the thing. All I can really think of is the like. It's not even The Office. It's 30 Rock.
It's like we're talking about an actor from like the UK right now, and you're like, ah, yes, he's
I'm trying. I'm like,
apparently he's in some shows in the BBC. I guess I don't know,
yeah. I
but I
mean,
don't blame you. I mean, he is like he's not the most notable actor in the universe, right? Like, uh,
that's the thing. Is like I can only think of 30 Rock and like Boss Baby. Boss Baby is the
oh
only
my
thing that he's
god,
done
Boss
recently,
Baby.
and that
The Boss Baby murdered someone.
that yeah. I mean, he pulled the trigger. Apparently, he says he didn't pull the trigger, according to certain articles.
Let's okay, before we even get into that, uh thank you so much. We
What?
are looking good today.
Oh, thanks.
Uh before we even fully get into that, I just want to talk about who is this man a little bit. We are going to talk about the shooting, especially because there's been developments and because it's happened here in my state. And like, I have friends that work in film, and like, this has been on a lot of people's minds around me, and people are talking about this. So, like, I just have been consumed with like this Alec Baldwin shit. And I'll just say for the record up front that, because we do not want to be accused of something like slander, we will not say definitively whether or not Alec Baldwin is a murderer, but you make your own conclusions, folks.
I mean, yeah, you can draw your own conclusions from this. It just seems like there's a lot of shady stuff behind this that's just kind of wild to me.
Yeah. So first of all, let's start with who Alec Baldwin is, because I think that's important and extremely relevant, honestly, to all of this. So Alec Baldwin was born into relative privilege and has rarely struggled in his life, as far as I can tell. Um, I'm not saying that his parents were necessarily ultra rich because I don't know, but he was certainly born into a very nice neighborhood in New York. Uh, in a lot of ways, he went to really good schools. And he went straight into Broadway and being nominated for Tony Awards. And also, when he was like, here's a suspicious fact that lets you know he must have come from some kind of pedigree, right? Okay, first of all, he's a third. You don't do that shit unless you have like a pedigree you're trying to uphold. But second of all, while he was in college, he got a letter from President Nixon,
What?
a personal letter from President Nixon. So, what kind of family did he come from? They did something.
Is it like the opposite of a Lincoln letter? The
No,
Nixon
I
letter?
mean it's still like it was an encouraging letter. He had lost the student body president election for the prestigious university he went to, and President Nixon sent him a personal letter encouraging him.
That's wild. Why would the president send you? Okay.
Because you come from a pedigree. Like, that's why. But seriously, it's because you come from some kind of pedigreed family, maybe connections to the CIA or something. I'm just saying that's one of the ways that you could end up with this kind of pedigree and no obvious explanation for it. But I'm not accusing the Baldwins of anything in particular. I'm just saying. Uh,
Um,
So, there's a really distant family member on my dad's side that's like from like one of the only parts of the family that was like sort of wealthy and established in America that fought with the Union during the Civil War, and that family member got a letter from President Lincoln,
right.
and that's like way back in the family tree, and yeah, I mean, it was just because like that family was the Clays, it's their last name. That
The
family was
Clays.
notable where they lived at the time. And now they're, just a very distant relative, but we happen to know this story.
It's still cool as hell. Like I remember
Yeah, but it's
reading
like
about
it's
them
also
in.
just like I said, it's a prestige thing. It was just why did he get the letter? It's because like his family was notable at the time.
Well, wasn't it like almost a congratulations, but it's like a personal letter written by the president. Um,
Yeah.
I guess it is a kind of a pedigree thing. But I just remember it being talked about in a very like almost holy light. Like he didn't do this for everybody,
Yeah.
but he did write a lot of them at some point.
He did do it for a lot of people, actually.
Um,
He had a lot of time. This is before computers. What are you gonna do? You're just gonna fucking write letters. Fuck it.
I mean, you use snail mail. Like, what are you
Yeah.
gonna do? Probably wasn't
Before
called
you
that back
had the
then.
satisfaction of just being able to like text someone and then they hopefully text you back right away, and like you're just like your timeline is like way short now in the modern era of what you expect for that stuff. In the olden times, you just be like, dang, the last time I saw Joe, I was thinking about blah blah blah. Let me write all this down in a dang old letter.
I'm still remembering having like a single phone line and having to explain that to somebody. A single family phone line where it's like a house line,
I remember, yeah.
and it's like mom, dad, you, and like your uncle or aunt, or it's like somebody else or whatever, and they're all like somebody calls in for your mom, and you get like all the recent information about Aunt Cindy doing this, that, and the other thing, going on a trip to Hawaii or whatever. Like it's always some bizarre story. But you hear it and you have to pass the phone to someone else. Mom, please take this for the love of God. Get Aunt Cindy off the phone.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I was sort of taught by my family that, writing letters is important. And even as a child, I was kind of like, what are you talking about? I could just call you. But they were still trying to pass that on because they thought that would still be a thing. And then briefly with emails, it was like they were almost vindicated, and now emails have died.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, I don't know, technology continues to advance. It's the way of the world. But
Yeah.
maybe we're advancing too quickly. They've given Alec Baldwin some sort of live ammunition on set, supposedly.
Yeah, that's a technology that shouldn't have been invented. So Alec
Sentient
Baldwin,
bullets.
notable in the modern era. So we've already covered that he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, as far as we could tell. We didn't do a lot of research. We don't do
No,
that
we
in this show.
Wikipedia Alec Baldwin. I'm not gonna lie.
I did a couple of other things besides Wikipedia, but that's not saying.
Oh, okay. I did the Wikipedia. All they seem to talk about is Kim Basinger. Basinger.
So
I don't know how to say her name.
Your guess is as good as mine. So Alec Baldwin, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, at least to some extent. Maybe it was a copper spoon, but whatever. He hasn't struggled much, had an easy life for the most part. And what has he done in recent times that's notable? Boss Baby. He was notable as parodying President Trump on SNL, which is kind of funny if you think about it, because like What moral ground does Alec Baldwin have to stand on?
Not.
He's just a rich asshole too.
I
Right?
mean, he is kind of a philanthropist sometimes.
He's just a rich asshole.
Okay.
He's worth a lot of fucking money.
He did endorse Barack Obama.
That's not worth much.
Okay.
So what it's kind of funny to even think about now. Like what I think it was like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It wasn't.
What was?
Look, how do y'all rank Alec Baldwin's Trump impression?
Maybe a 4 or 5.
Oh damn, Joe's going even harsher than me. I was saying like maybe like a 6 or 7.
I don't know. I've seen
was
there's
okay.
so many impressions out there that I feel kind of desensitized to Trump at this point.
Yeah.
Is that a weird thing to say?
That
Has he gotten his Twitter back
that makes
yet, by the way?
sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I would say it was okay in my mind. Like it was decent. He tried somewhat, but like you could also tell that like it was the sort of thing that he just did drunk at a party sometime, and someone was like, "That's a pretty good Donald Trump," and then he didn't really improve it, you know?
His face is too wide. Like it's wider than Donald Trump, so it doesn't work for me. I don't know why.
It's such a weird critique. One other thing that we should talk about that Alec Baldwin is known for is having a race-faking wife. Hillary,
What?
or Hilaria Baldwin, for many years claimed to be from Spain, and many times sort of put on not knowing English super well, having a thick accent and stuff like that.
It seems like she just
And
didn't want to talk to people.
she was born in like, I forget where, and I'm not going to look it up, but like New Hampshire or Massachusetts or something, and she's 100% white. And
Wow.
yeah, 100%. She lied about being Spanish. So, and Alec Baldwin has just stood by her through all of that. So, you know, he's just a piece of shit on a lot of levels, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, that's
And we can start there.
That's wild. I mean, I had never heard of that, actually. I'm a little stunned.
I
don't know what to say. Like,
I wish we could, without worrying about being DMCA'd, show the clip of Hilaria, quote unquote, Baldwin, pretending to like not know English in interviews that someone put together. But
why would you schedule oh my god. I have so many questions, but I don't want to ask any of them because my brain is still recalibrating.
I'm not going to do the offensive accent, but basically the effective is she'd be like, this is the what do we call it in Spain? And then she'd say the Spanish word.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yes, the cucumber or whatever. And you're like, you pretended to forget.
Talk about stealing somebody else's culture. Stole a whole identity. Is that identity theft? In like the mildest form?
I don't know what I mean. Well, it's definitely It's definitely culture theft. It's fucked
Impersonation?
up. It's extremely fucked up.
Okay. I do have a
I
story
mean, I
for
think
this.
that's why the term race faking was invented, is just because it's hard to. Like, what exactly do you call that? It's like, well, I guess we need a new word for it.
I do remember I had a okay. I had a girlfriend in college who pretended to be Irish. Um,
That's like that's like the most common. That's like the most common like dorky white person thing to do.
but she had
Is
like the
you pick
partial
like
accent and everything. Like it was so weird.
Irish or Italian or Scottish,
That is
usually one of those. And
like I
you're
didn't
like
know
and
that
you're
was
like,
such a common thing.
yeah, I've known people to do this shit too, dude.
Is that imposter syndrome?
Um, not exactly, but I'm sure it has a relationship.
That's
Yeah,
wild. I
Boston
don't.
people love doing that. They're like, yeah, my grandfather was from Italy. I go to Italy all the time, and it's like they've been to Italy one time, and it was their great grandfather that was from Italy.
Jesus. I mean, you can get a lot of lineage stuff traced, but this is just straight up making up some shit. I'm like reading a little bit into this article on this interview you were speaking about, and it's just wow.
A lot of people in my family thought things about their lineage that wasn't exactly true, and it wasn't all like for clout per se. Like some of it, like, people just don't know. Like we have this modern ability to do genetic testing and find out where exactly your ancestors came from and whatever, to a large extent at least. I mean, there's still some room for error. Uh
Oh my god. I just looked up William Baldwin and Stephen Baldwin. Holy crap. They all look like clones of him.
yeah, if you can't get Alec, you just call one of the brothers.
Oh my god, you want one with chubby cheeks and a no lower jawline? You got it, Stephen. You want one that looks younger but has angrier looking eyes? You've got William.
So this is a take I see a lot, and I do agree with it to some extent, but I also kind of have a slight critique of it. Because I think that actually, like, this is still like somewhat of an excuse on the part of white people that we shouldn't get away with. Because here's the thing. It's not the same. Like, yes, there is an extent to which the American identity evolves, ripping away a lot of ethnic identities, but also white American identity. Let me be more specific. Christian, cis, straight, hetero, white American identity. I said straight and hetero because I mean straight as in straight edge. Is not policed. And things that are slightly outside of that are not heavily policed either. And so white people can have a culture in America if they want to, actually. Like, there is like a accepted white American culture that is perfectly fine to be a part of, and that is represented in media, that is mainstream, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think, like, yes, I agree with that to an extent, but also, like, white people need to stop pretending like, oh yeah, our culture was also ripped away. Shut the fuck up. We created this system.
Here, just take a look at this picture and think, like, try and identify which one's Alec Baldwin.
So yes, I agree, but also we white folks need to take even more responsibility for it than that. Okay, wait, okay, hold on, I'm gonna put this is amazing. Okay, we're gonna put this on. I know we won't get copyright struck for this. This is just a picture. Which of these is Alec Baldwin? Which of the Baldwin?
It's scary. Also, what is up with the third guy's dimple? I don't know what's going on there, but it makes him look real evil with that duck face. This is not MySpace. Get out.
It literally, it's just like number one is like Alec Baldwin, but with 90s hair. Number two is actually Alec Baldwin. I'm sorry, spoilers. So I don't know what to call that one other than just old Alec Baldwin.
This is like country Alec Baldwin or blue collar Alec Baldwin.
Number three is like Italian mafia Alec Baldwin, and then number four is like Blink 180 Baldwin 182. Like,
oh, what?
Baldwin 182.
I don't know, but I'd probably watch that band one time.
He got the fucking 90s.
He's got the spike. He's got the Ryan Seacrest or whatever they call it. The crest.
The crest.
Is Ryan Seacrest still relevant? Is he?
No.
I wonder if Ryan Seacrest could blend in with the Baldwins. Nope.
You could swap
His head is
these
way too
Baldwins.
small.
You could swap these Baldwins. I bet they've swapped out on a movie. On a set for a
Probably.
scene.
Or during sex.
Or in school. Hey, Steven.
Little
That's
bit
one
of
of the
lighting.
Baldwins, right? There's a
Just need
Steven
to
Baldwin. Hey,
adjust it a little bit.
Steven. Take this test for me. I don't know why I'm going slightly into Donald Trump voice, but I guess that's what I associate with Alec Baldwin now.
God, it's happening. The transformation has begun. Sounds terrible.
The Four Horsemen of Male Menopause. Oh my god.
Oh, it's like Benjamin Button, but Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, name this band.
Oh, Balding or Baldwin?
Baldwin for soup.
Oh, like
I
that
can't
one.
stand it. I can't stand how goofy these guys look. It's driving me crazy.
Yeah, they look like a washed up band.
They really do.
Scary.
They look like
This is really just
they look like the four guys that are auditioning to be the next lead singer of Smash Mouth.
Man, if they ever do a biopic, I don't know how to say that word either. I'm
Hey, do
realizing
you think that the other Baldwin brothers are like kind of low key hyped right now? Because Alec's always been the biggest star, but they're probably right now. I could be the top Baldwin. Do you think Stephen Baldwin is
the big Baldwin?
Or what? Daniel Baldwin. I have to look their names up.
I have to look their names up too. It's like William, Daniel,
and Stephen.
There's supposedly a Billy Baldwin.
What? Ain't no Billy. That's William.
Oh. See what I mean?
Billy, actually, if he goes by Billy, then I think he's the one. He's scheming. He's like, I'm going to be the next top Baldwin. America's next top Baldwin.
Yeah, this is too much. I'm going on a deep dive into Baldwinism. I'm
going mad talking about this, but we can't stop here. This train has come too far to fucking stop. So,
the younger they were, they looked more similar, but as they've aged, they've separated.
So, I don't have much more speculation about America's Next Top Baldwin because I don't know anything about the other three. But we're gonna drop the theme music unusually late.
Oh
And
wow, we are just all over the
when
map.
we come back in 60 seconds, we will talk about the shooting on set that Alec Baldwin was, we'll just say, involved with, to put it lightly. And
Under
please
investigation.
do if you find a link, I will PayPal you $10 if you let us break the story on this show.
Is that how this works?
So this is Velvet Butcher Shop. We'll be back in just a second. And we're back.
Oh, shit.
So riffing about Alec Baldwin being a piece of shit dumbass is pretty fun, but unfortunately, what we're going to talk about now is a bit sad. So forgive us if we're at least somewhat more serious. Although we'll end up cracking jokes again before the show's over.
Probably. Yeah.
We can't. I mean, I cope with trauma through humor, folks. This is how it's happening.
Sorry.
So, Alec Baldwin was filming a movie here in New Mexico called Rust.
Oh yeah, New Mexico. Perfect.
Yeah. Alec Baldwin was, I believe, both the director and the he definitely was one of the main producers of the film. He wasn't the director, but he was one of the main producers of this film, and he also had some other, like, he basically like had a large hand in seeing this film made. And I think it's really important to start there because he's trying to distance himself as much as possible from this incident. And like, no, this film was his baby. He had a hand on every part of it.
Including hiring scabs.
Yeah. So
who
first
may or
of
may
all,
not have brought live ammunition on the set.
So let's just cover the details of the shooting relatively quickly, I guess.
Okay.
So basically, they have a dispute over the safety on set, and a number of workers walk off. And this is a couple of weeks before the shooting, I want to say. So a bunch of the unionized employees walked off, citing safety hazards on set. Okay.
Mhm.
And we're going to get into this a bit more, but filmmaking's pretty dangerous.
These were the legitimate workers that left the set, by the way.
Yeah, these were the legitimate unionized workers that left the set. And also, filmmaking's pretty dangerous. We're going to get into this a little bit, just like some of the dangers of filmmaking. But and people even accept like a fair amount of danger as just like a part of the job. So if these people walked off a set, like they're doing it for a reason, because like they know lives are on the line with stuff like this. And especially when you're doing a Western, there's a lot of potential risks. We're going to talk about guns, obviously, but also horses hurt and kill people a lot, especially like if you're an actor and you haven't ridden horses for years and years and you've got a few weeks of training and then you're on a horse on set. That's risky.
Yeah, you fall off, you break your neck.
Yeah. So, also like explosives, common in Western films, pyrotechnics, things like that. Those are dangerous.
I keep thinking of like that Charlie Chaplin thing where the house falls around him.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like with a windstorm out in the West, you're gonna get a lot of things getting thrown around. I don't know. There could be a lot of issues behind film sets.
Yeah. So you know, there's a lot of dangers on film sets in general, but especially like a Western definitely provides its fair share of danger.
Yeah.
In terms of just you have a lot of dangerous elements on set. And so these workers walked off for a reason, because like there's all these dangerous elements on set and they aren't being taken seriously enough. And so what does Alec Baldwin do? Does he fix any of these problems? Or any of the other, you know, because some of the other producers and stuff are just as culpable, really. But I'm you know, I want to be clear that like Alec Baldwin was one of the people in charge of these decisions. Do they fix these problems? No, they hire scabs. And so, you know, now what you have is, so whenever you have guns on the set of a movie, one thing that's important to understand is that people will ask, why don't you just use only fake guns? The answer is simple, is because the difference between a fake gun and a real gun is really small. A lot of fake guns can still fire a bullet under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Depends on what's in the cartridge.
If it's made, especially if it's a revolver and it's made to look real, a lot of times, like what could be the difference between a fake gun and a real gun is like a piece of rubber between the hammer and the bullet that could easily like get destroyed or lost somehow under the right circumstances.
That's
like
wild.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like, you know,
it's like the Jesus rubber or something.
No, but I'm just saying, like there's a lot of times there's just some element of the gun that's been fundamentally disabled mechanically, but like if that mechanical intervention fails, like you can make a gun out of like a couple pieces of pipe that you slam together that can fire a bullet. Like that's how simple this can be. So even if you tried to only have like fake guns on set or something like that, that's actually not enough. You still need someone to manage all the guns, and they did have a person doing that. So any set where you have a bunch of guns, you have someone who manages all the guns. They did have a person doing that. Yeah. But that guy was an untrained scab.
Well, does that sound like somebody you want around guns?
Does that sound like the person that you want managing this very important thing? Somebody who basically has very little. I'm sure he knew something about guns and that's how he got on set, but like he had no actual formal training of how to do this. And like basic gun safety isn't really going to cut it when you're doing something like this. Like you got to go well above and beyond that when you're managing the guns for a movie or TV show. So this guy had no idea what the fuck he was doing. And a loaded gun ended up in Alec Baldwin's hands. And unfortunately, Alec Baldwin shot a cinematographer fatally, Helena Hutchins, and the director, Joel Souza, was also wounded.
Yeah.
So at this point, Alec is trying to distance himself from the incident, call it an accident. No, it may not have been murder per se, but it's probably more likely wrongful death or manslaughter of some kind. So, he's trying to distance himself from right away, call it an accident, and say things like, well, I never pulled the trigger. My finger wasn't on the trigger. Here's the thing. You don't have to pull the trigger for a gun to go off. If it's loaded, live ammunition, and the safety is off, if you hit the back of especially a revolver, which I assume this was a Western style revolver, so Western film, pew pew. Like, if you hit the back of a Western style revolver with like a stick, relatively hard, not even super hard, just good solid thunk, it's gonna go off. Period. If you pull the hammer back and let it go, it's gonna go off. In a lot of cases. It depends on the revolver, type of revolver a little bit, but a lot of them will just go off if you just pull the hammer back and let it go. Because all you're doing in these various cases, you're interrupting the mechanism. You're just bypassing it in some way. These are very simple mechanisms. Guns are not complicated. And that's the part of the problem. When people don't understand them, it's like they don't understand that they are not complicated. They're very simple. And it's their simplicity that makes them so dangerous. Because they can go off in all these unexpected ways. Right?
Yeah.
Like it. You know what rarely happens is a car starting for no reason, right? Because there's several parts of that process that would have to be like made to happen, things of that nature. It's like there are a lot of things around us that are like complex enough that like you don't really see them happen by accident, but a gun going off by accident can happen again because it is so simple. So it doesn't matter if his finger was on the trigger. If he was waving around a gun and the safety was off and he did not know if it was loaded with live ammunition, that is your responsibility. If someone hands you a gun and says this gun is not loaded, it is still your responsibility to check it. Any gun safety expert will tell you that. You get handed a gun, it doesn't matter. If someone says that's not loaded, you still check it.
I would like to make a correction. The person that was supposed to be in charge of the 500 to 300 rounds of dummy rounds and ammunition, and there's not supposed to be live ammunition on set, by the way. Supposedly says industry standards, but there's usually, like, for some reason there's always live ammunition on set. I don't know why it's so commonplace, but like it can be frustrating. The person that was supposed to be in charge of this is Hannah Gutierrez Reed, who is actually a veteran of the film industry,
but not of this job specifically.
Yeah, which is
That's
kind
the
of
problem.
confusing how she got this job. But scabbing will put you in situations like this.
Yeah, if you're willing to scab, then we'll give you a job that we wouldn't normally give you, something like that. So, and I will say, like, in the old days, it was not uncommon for some of the old Western movies for them to just like use live ammunition for stuff like where they're shooting at like cans or something and just actually do that. Now that would be like generally just simulated. Like there's ways that you can like sort of make that seem like it's happening. And there's been rumors although they weren't necessarily doing that, that they were just kind of like shooting the guns when they were like done filming for fun. And that's why the live ammunition may have been around.
Well, this new article I'm reading is saying, like, the elder Reed, who is apparently allowed on set without restriction, brought 300 rounds of live ammunition onto set for Gutierrez Reed, which is just kind of sketchy in the first place. Why would you bring that on set if you're not, like, it's not supposed to be there? There's a whole lot of questions really throughout this case that are very confusing.
Like I said, there's an old way of doing this that a lot of filmmakers are still kind of doing on the sly.
Is it just for, like, the realism, or is it for
Well, it's
saving
also
money?
to save money in some cases, because like faking the entirety of some like gunshots, especially just like into like scenery and stuff, can be kind of expensive. And it's like, well, why not just actually shoot a tree or whatever, you know?
Well, because it can ricochet and hit somebody
Yeah,
on
well,
set.
that's, I know, but I'm just saying that's in their mind. They're just like, why not just do it? There's risks to all this stuff. And that is true to some
Wow.
extent, but like, yeah, like I'm just saying, like, there is a habit in this industry of cutting this corner.
Yeah, it's not even measure twice, cut once. It's cut twice and measure once.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
So, yeah, it's,
I've got a weird question. Have there ever been, like, is this pretty commonplace? Or, like accidents on set like this?
I mean, there have been, I would say this is not commonplace.
Like a shooting?
Shootings
I
are not
remember the
commonplace.
Brandon Lee thing from The Crow.
Yeah, that's an old one, but that's well remembered because it was very tragic. And I honestly kind of similar in terms of like, it was just a very negligent situation where people weren't keeping up with the gun props very carefully. And if you have guns on set, you have to treat that like the most serious thing imaginable.
Like it's a firearm.
Yeah. Like, you're literally going to break the rules of traditional firearm safety. You're going to point guns at people. You need to make sure they're not loaded.
Frustrating. That's all.
So it's very unusual. Mostly like what the kinds of accidents that you have on set that can be fatal are pyrotechnic effects, vehicle crashes, electrocution, and falling equipment and props. All of that's far more common than a shooting on set.
I can see that being more of an issue.
But that doesn't make it a non-issue to deal with this stuff. Again, like, you should treat this as a very serious thing. But there have been like quite a lot of cases, unfortunately, of people dying tragically while making films. And a lot of them do relate to sketchy production practices that there's just no reason for.
Yeah.
It's really like unfortunate. Again, like we said, the Crow, the film, Brandon Lee died in that film under, again, relatively similar circumstances. And OSHA did end up citing the makers of that movie. They fined them like $80,000 or something stupid.
Whoa.
Like for a death. Come on.
Not getting out of debt now.
Yeah. So, but there've been other things too. There's a lot of danger in filmmaking, and a lot of it is unnecessary. But like, people have been like run over by trains. They've been
Jesus,
hurt or
what?
killed in like motorcycle accidents. I know, like while making a film. So like, why does okay? How does someone get run over by a train while making a film? Again, it's the negligence of the filmmakers, because what they should be doing is going through the proper channels to use a piece of train track that they know that there will be no trains on, and working with the train authority. But
Or
they
just
know
check
that
the schedule.
that's going to be expensive and it's going to take time. Even checking the schedule is not good enough, because the schedule can change. Especially if it's a freight line, like those schedules can change at the last minute and you have no idea.
Don't you need like a safety officer to be filming like certain parts of these things?
Theoretically.
Like
But anyway,
supposedly? Or social worker? HR?
as someone who's done like the permission gathering for a short film, like I get it. It can be a real pain in the ass. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it can be really annoying. And sometimes you cut the corner somewhere and you say, well, we're not going to get permission from the city to film on this particular bridge. We're just going to do it or whatever. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's fine. All right.
What if they think you're staging a protest?
I mean, yeah, you gotta. If you're doing guerrilla filming like that, you got to move relatively quickly. But even major films do it. Black Swan famously, guerrilla filmed some of the subway scenes without permission. Yeah. And they just got permission from the people that they showed in the shots.
You have to get like it's what is it called? It's like not a property. You have to get certain rights when you're filming in a certain area. I know that.
Not if it's in public. Area. Sort of. It's kind of a gray area. Technically, you're supposed to still, but also if it is a public space, you can't really get in trouble. What's up? Welcome. We're talking about the intricacies of illegal filmmaking.
Guerrilla filming or whatever.
Yeah, so guerrilla filming, like so technically, if you have film that is from a public space, they can't really come after you for that if they didn't catch you in the act.
I mean, generally, it's on film.
I know, but if they didn't catch you in the act of filming it, it's one of those things.
Timestamps.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they didn't catch you in the act of filming it, then they can't usually get you in trouble if you were filming on public property. Now, someone's private business or private residence is not the same. If you film in someone's private business or residence without permission, and they figure it out, you can definitely get in trouble for that. And also, you have to get disclosures from the people in your film, or they can come after you. But yeah, a lot of times getting permission from the city to film like a few minutes of subway footage for your movie or whatever can be a huge nightmare hassle in some places.
Nightmare hassle.
And I get that. And so I approve of like the fact that, sometimes filmmakers have to make these decisions and whatever, and like get the film done and not like bog over everything. But at the same time, I get that, but you don't cut the corners when it's like actually risky stuff. Like if you're going to be around train tracks, you don't cut the corners. If you're going to use guns, you don't cut the corners. That's the real moral of this Alec Baldwin situation in my mind, I think. I don't think that we need to.
I mean, the moral of it is don't bring live ammunition onto set.
Well, that too. Yeah, but just
paint that bullet into the tree
instead of respect the shit on set that needs to be respected. If you're gonna be around dangerous things, treat all those things with respect. Don't hire scabs. Don't guerrilla film at dangerous locations. Don't do this shit.
I'm still unsure who, like, it's after reading all of this stuff about Alec Baldwin and like all the people that were on set and him saying like, I never pulled the trigger. So who the hell had a gun on set pointed in that exact direction? Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna
Only
go
one
into-
person. Only one person. That's all I'm gonna say. There's only one
Why-
person that it could have been.
Like, it passed between Gutierrez to the assistant director and then to Alec Baldwin after it had been checked twice. And how did this get overlooked? Like, you spun the chamber, you checked the bullets. I'm sure they didn't take them out individually.
They
But-
didn't. Yeah, they didn't actually check. I don't know.
I was reading an article where it said Gutierrez Reed passed it to the assistant director, and he had checked it after she had checked it. And then he passed it on to Alec Baldwin or
Yeah,
whoever.
this is 100%, 100% right. You know, again, this is the dangers of working with guns on your film set and why you actually need someone in charge of them that knows what the fuck they're doing instead of hiring a scab that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Like, even a blank can kill someone. Brandon Lee was killed by the combination of a
That's true.
misfired blank and a dummy round. You put those two things together and you just have a bullet again. Again, these things are simple. That's the danger. It's simple. So sorry for the slightly heavier episode today, but because like we are into acting and stuff, we really wanted to cover this. Joe, what do you got? What do you
I would
got?
like to say
Final
one thing.
thoughts here that are still on your mind? Because go for it.
Just R.I.P. Rest in peace, Helena Hutchins.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry this happened.
Yeah. You deserved better. Oh shit, Bob. We're gonna have you on soon to talk about Dune. That'll be a much lighter episode.
Nice. Today was heavy.
Yeah, this was a little heavy, but we just felt like it was something that we should talk about because it relates to things that we care about. And like I said, because it happened here in New Mexico, a lot of people here are just talking about it. I have a lot of friends that do stuff like build sets, so you know, this freaks people out, and rightly so. But speaking of lighter episodes, tomorrow, Joe and I are going to play a video game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Dune. I'm super stoked for the Dune app coming up soon. I need to set up Calendly. I'm just pulling back curtain here, just revealing our problems. I need to set up Calendly so I can schedule everyone easier.
Yeah.
That seems to be the solution that a lot of people are using.
I think I'm gonna get like 3 more
Yeah.
alarms because I'm not waking up to the 3 that I have.
My Alarm is a very abrasive well, it's not an entirely abrasive song, but it's a song that starts really abrasive with just like guitar feedback.
And greenhouse gas lighting.
No, we're not playing Breath of the Wild. We're gonna do some gaming tomorrow. We're thinking about gaming on Fridays for a little while, just because like this is a chill show, and what's chiller
Maybe
than
some
this?
RimWorld
Gaming.
multiplayer or some Wildermyth, something like
Yeah.
that.
So tomorrow we're gonna play Wildermyth. It's one of Joe and I's favorite games from this past year.
It's chill. It's such a chill game. I do voices during it sometimes.
Yeah, we're gonna do voices and be silly and have fun. So come by tomorrow. We'll do an hour or maybe 2 of Wildermyth for Friday, and that might be the normal Friday thing for a while. We're still figuring out our schedule a little bit, but
We're playing it by ear.
yeah, just expect that maybe for a few weeks at least. And we'll see you next time on Velvet Butcher Shop. Don't forget to subscribe and like and blah 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 blah.